yet. Okay, thank you. All right, good afternoon, everyone. It is Tuesday, July 3, 2018, 12 o'clock noon. We'll begin with, if everyone is able, please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And now, may I please have a roll call?
Brad Hint.
Here.
Sean Brewster.
Here.
Pete Hamill.
Here.
Greg Gills.
Here.
Tom Eggers.
Thank you. First on our agenda is the approval of the agenda. I will not be adding anything to the agenda, so it will be as is. Questions, comments? If not, do we have a motion to approve the agenda that is before you?
So move. Second.
Thank you. And a roll call, please.
Gills.
Aye.
Hamill.
Aye.
Brewster.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Thank you. Second on our agenda is public comments. At this time, are there any public comments? There are none, so we'll move on to the consent agenda. Under the consent agenda, the consideration of approval for the student SCAT applicant is Abby Schmidt. I can give the spelling to media later. The approval of the controlled burn request, that is through the fire department with a house at the Village, Northwest Unlimited. And then the appointments that I would like to go over. Some are coming back onto the boards. So the appointments to our different boards, the Board of Adjustment, Dwayne Wallstrom would like to continue. On Cemetery, Doug Roger, excuse me. On the airport, we would like to add Dr. Ryan Becker. Museum, Cindy Runger would like to stay. Planning and Zoning, Jerry Clayton. Tom Foose, and we will have one vacancy, and that's not county, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Then on the Trails Committee, Jeannie Lichtke would like to stay, and we have two that are still debating. So with that said, under the consent agenda, are there any questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion for approval?
Make the motion to approve. Support.
Thank you. And a roll call, please.
Brewster.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Hamill.
Aye.
Gills.
Aye.
Thanks. All right, first on our agenda into new business then, we have our public hearing opening now for the airport snow removal equipment building. First, we'll have the public hearing open for any public comments, then we'll close the public hearing, and then we'll get into more in depth about the bidding process, awarding contract, etc. So at this moment, the public hearing is open. Any public comments? Any written received?
None.
Thank you. So since there were none, there are none. Do we have a motion then to close the public hearing?
So moved. Support.
Thank you. And a roll call to close the public hearing?
Hint.
Aye.
Brewster.
Aye.
Gills.
Aye.
Hamill.
Aye.
Thank you. So before we get into the consideration of resolution, bid, awarding, contract, etc., Andy, would you like to come up and share some of that information with us, please, and thank you?
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and Council. Yeah, we just wanted to provide an update. As you know, we did open bids on the snow removal equipment building for the airport project. The bids did come in high. We only had one bidder, so that made it a challenge with our original planned budget. The original budget the city programmed was roughly $30,000. The project as budgeted today will be about $34,000. So it's about a $4,000 increase from our original plan. With that, the airport commission, we met on June 12th, and they've recommended the award of the base bid and in three packages, what we call bid alternates. So those would include the ceiling insulation, wall insulation, and a radiant heat system. So their logic is if we're going to have a building, housing snow removal equipment, they want that, all the snow and everything to melt off. So they recommended award of that heating system. So We've drafted a concurrence for the city to concur with your vote today. That would include awarding the base bid and then those 3 alternate packages. So the grant is due to the FAA July 10th. So we've got about a week. So with your approval today, I'll work with Todd and Angie to get that grant application submitted. So I guess any questions that anybody might have?
Why only one bidder?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did some research here. We actually reached out to the online databases, the master databases. There's over 200 contractors that are on that database. So what the overall, I guess, consensus was is they were, it's a smaller project for them. It's just not a lot of money for them to make a profit on. And being up here in northwest Iowa with the federal requirements, there's Buy American requirements, there's Davis-Bacon wage rates they have to adhere to. So yeah, it wasn't an attractive project for them. So we did make out a lot of requests, like I said. So the other major issue is the impact on the steel tariffs for the pre-engineered steels. So that had some uncertainty into the bids. So there's a lot of components that kind of created that perfect storm. So yeah.
Any other questions? Oh, Rob?
Yeah.
Andy, maybe you should comment more about the first time around with this process.
Yeah.
You know, and the fact that our one and only bid was higher than the estimate.
Yes.
Scrambling we've had to do since then.
Yeah, we reached out to the FAA and we got additional, roughly $30,000 of additional federal dollars to offset that over budget. So, yeah, to your point, we did go through multiple iterations with the FAA to get you guys some additional federal funding for that to keep this project moving forward. So, yeah, good point.
Thank you. Thank you, Rob.
Yeah, and you know, to keep the project budget on schedule, you guys have been a valuable client to us at the airport. You know, we want to see you guys move forward with this project. So, yeah, we kept our fees down as much as we could to keep this project moving forward. Yes.
And we're thus asking, what, another $4,000 over the first time around?
Yes. Yeah, correct. Yeah, like I said in the beginning, yeah, it's 29,000 roughly original city dollars, and now the local match required would be about 34,000. Yep. Mm-hmm. Anything you guys want to add?
Is key to the whole project. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, this plow blower must be housed in a heated facility to keep it functional.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is essentially the second phase. You know, we purchased the equipment a year
Right.
ago, and yeah, now you're just continuing on this second phase. Yep.
I guess the only thing I would add is that to rebid the project would cost us money as well.
Yes.
And then there's no guarantee your bids are coming in better. So you spend an extra 5,000 now, or do you spend,
Right.
what, 3,000 to 5,000 to rebid, and you might not get any better results.
Yeah, and the FAA will only reimburse you for bidding it once, so
Right. So that
that
would be our
$5,000
cost.
would be at your cost, and so
Okay, but this is acceptable with the FAA?
this is, yes. Yeah, we had to go through a little more hoops with them, but yes, it is acceptable. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. All right, any other questions? Just want to make sure. Thank you, Andy, for coming up.
no,
Thank you,
thank you,
Rob, too,
thank
and
you.
the gentleman, Lyle and Chad, for coming up from the airport. We appreciate it. So with that said, we have a couple parts that we have to consider under item 4, and then number 5 would be the actual approval of the contract. So the first step that we need to do is consider by resolution to accept the bid and awarding construction contract for the snow removal equipment storage building.
So
this is
resolve.
by resolution. What's that?
So resolve.
Is that your
That's his motion.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just making sure. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, and I assume no further discussion. A roll call, please.
Brewster.
Aye.
Hamel.
Aye.
Gills.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
The second part is consideration by resolution authorizing the grant application to the FFA for funding assistance for the snow removal equipment storage building. Again, that due date is July 10th, and I'll start working on that right away. Do we have a motion to approve this by resolution?
So moved.
Support.
Thank you, and a roll call, please.
Hamel.
Aye.
Brewster.
Aye.
Hand.
Aye.
Gills.
Aye.
Thank you. Then moving into number 5 is the actual consideration of approval for the engineering contract for the snow removal equipment storage building.
Make the motion to approve the bid.
Support.
Thank you, gentlemen. And no discussion? A roll call, please.
Hand.
Aye.
Gills.
Aye.
Hamel.
Aye.
Brewster.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you again for coming. So moving on to number 6, we have to consider our second reading of ordinance to rezone lots 2, 3, 10, and a portion of lot 9 in block 53A. Now, we can waive the second, go to the third, or let it go through its due process, which I'm fine with that as well. Again, these are being rezoned to the arterial commercial.
We've had no comments.
Nothing.
Letters, nothing.
No.
I've seen nothing, I've heard nothing, and received nothing as far as anyone against the rezoning of this area. If anything, I've heard compliments about cleaning it up a little bit.
So what would we need to do to move forward then?
Well, we could approve the second to go to a third, or we can waive and approve the final reading and then approve by ordinance, correct?
Yes.
You can suspend the rules.
I would say let's waive that and move to the third.
I will support that idea.
Yeah.
So then what we'll do next is take approval on that, and then our next step will be to approve by ordinance. Then we approve the final ordinance, okay? So may I have a motion to approve that?
Give me a roll call.
Roll call.
Okay.
Roll call first, my apologies. Roll call first on waiving of the second to approve the final and third reading of this.
Hand.
Aye.
Brewster.
Aye.
Hamel.
Aye.
Gills.
Aye.
Thank you. And then I would need a motion and a second to approve by ordinance the rezoning of lots 2, 3, 10, a portion of 9 in block 53A.
I'll make that motion.
Support.
Thank you.
Take your pick.
Yep. And a roll call, please.
Brewster.
Aye.
Hand.
Aye.
Gills.
Aye.
Hamel.
Aye.
All right, thank you so much. Number 7 on our agenda is consider resolution amending the downtown parking and parking restrictions on a portion of East 6th Street. Again, this is talking about the overnight parking only in the downtown area. As we discussed at our last council meeting, we went with the recommendations of Lyle. We did tweak it just a little bit, Lyle, just to have some synchronicity on the map. Again, what we would like to change this resolution to be is no overnight parking on 9th Street between 2nd Avenue and 5th Avenue, on 3rd Avenue between 8th Street and 10th Street, and on 4th Avenue between 8th Street and 10th Street. So the first thing that we do is approve this by resolution. The next step that we do is go through the beginning of our ordinance readings. Per Micah, last council meeting. So this, do we have a motion then to approve by resolution the amendment to the downtown overnight parking, yes, and the East 6th Street to adopt that area closer to the west on the north side, remove those signs to be no parking. You want me to refresh? East 6th Street between 19th Avenue and 23rd Avenue. A majority of that is no parking on the north side, with the exception of about a block where they can park after 4 PM. But we thought that might be a little confusion when game activities or sports activities takes place, people start parking, don't see the no parking. So let's just do away with all north side parking on East 6th between 19th and 23rd. So, the first part is by resolution, and then we go into the ordinance. So is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Support.
Thank you. Any discussion? thoughts? I
Is
see.
this accomplishing what we set out to do? I would miss the last meeting, so I don't have that benefit.
Oh,
of being
sure.
there. But
Which one do you want to talk about, downtown?
4 weeks ago, we were having a discussion about downtown and parking.
Right.
And it was daytime, now it's nighttime hour. That to me didn't seem to be an issue.
Well, what we had talked about, Lyle and I, and then Todd and Lyle had spoke to, we want to first address the overnight parking because we think that's where the major hiccup is. Overnight parking is interfering with snow cleanup and then also with street sweeping now in the warmer months. So we think if we can address that first, that might help moving some vehicles and not sitting there all day and all night. And most of the vehicles are the tenants who might live above the businesses and whatnot in the downtown area. Then the East Sixth Street we talked about because of emergency vehicles whenever there's a sports activity
Yeah,
that
that
takes
one I
place.
understand.
You're good with that one?
Yeah,
Okay.
that
So
part
then
is
the
understandable.
2-hour parking we wanted to discuss a little bit later on.
Okay,
Let's see what happens with overnight. Then we'll bring back the 2-hour parking.
okay.
And I just want to let you all know, council, I have been receiving emails and just comments on the street from different people, shoppers, whatever. So far, more and more are not for the 2-hour parking ban, just because they may spend a half a day downtown shopping or dentist or whichever. But again, we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Okay, so right now, we're just going to address the overnight change and then the East Sixth Street change.
Something that came up in a discussion regarding signage as we redo that. It was suggested that we put handicap parking signs up in addition to painting on the street. That's something I think we need to consider when we do this.
Okay. We can look into that and assess that
I don't
as
know
we
what the
decide.
ramifications of that are.
Right, and
They're required in order to enforce.
Well, that's what the
So,
indication was.
I haven't recently read the MUTCD, but back in 2013, when it was redone, the way we interpreted the MUTCD is that you didn't have to have both, you could have either or. But I believe in Lyle's defense, to enforce, you do need the sign.
it's helpful. And the painted curb
Well, I don't
or
think he
something.
can
I
enforce
think it's
it.
required by Iowa.
Is it? Okay. And we'll look into that. So after we address this with the overnight and E6, and
As we
get
do
into
it,
the
we
shore,
need to
we'll do that
research it.
too. Because then we have to determine where might we or might we not need to put up signage. And then also communicate with the property owners down there so they can let their tenants know as well.
The handicap method I would propose using, if you want to know, is $136.50 a sign. Just in case you're
Oh,
curious.
you're Johnny on the spot there. Okay, 136.50. How many spots? Okay, we'll talk about that later. I'll go look how many spots we have, so, okay. Any other discussion then on, as far as the changing to the overnight downtown and the East Sixth Street? If not, I'll need a motion to approve by
We
resolution.
actually have a motion.
Oh, we have a,
Second.
oh, we did.
were
We
just-
need a
this
roll
was just
call. Thank you.
discussion, yeah. You ready?
So much talk and I get lost.
Okay, Gills,
Aye.
Hamel,
Aye.
Brewster,
Aye.
Kent,
Aye.
Then, line 8, we would need by motion, approval of the first reading of this ordinance amending the downtown parking and East Sixth Street. When you approve the first, it will go to the second, which I recommend. Let this go through its process so we can have any comments that may come back.
And that date would be,
The second reading would be July
we're having first reading today then?
today, yes.
Okay.
First reading is right now. Second reading would be July 18, and the third reading would be the first meeting in August something, 5, 4.
Close enough.
Yeah. 1, August 1. Do we have a motion to approve the first reading?
So moved.
Support.
Thank you. And may I have a roll call, please?
Brewster,
Aye.
Kent,
Aye.
Gills,
Aye.
Hamel,
Aye.
Thank you. Number 9 on our agenda is we have a change order consideration regarding the wastewater treatment facility project. Todd, would you care to share and bring us up to speed?
Sure, this would be change order number 2 on this project. This change order does not increase or decrease the contract price. Essentially what there was two things that were overlooked by the structural engineer. Number one was in the SBR basin wall heights. There's a walkway that goes around part of it. He was anticipating using that walkway as part of our overall wall height, but to follow the DNR rules, we need a certain amount of freeboard or usable space in the wall, and that walkway does not count, so we need to increase the wall height of the SBRs by approximately 10 inches. The other oversight he had is in where the water comes into the SBR basin, he assumed that there could be a hydraulic imbalance between the two sides, so therefore he thickened the wall and added more rebar. But the way the plant is designed, there cannot be a hydraulic imbalance, so we're actually decreasing the thickness and the amount of rebar in that wall. By the time you subtract the two out, they came out to about a $15 difference. So we're proposing a no change. But to still make the contract documents correct,
We have to go through
we have the
this.
change order.
Yes, okay.
And it's believed from DGR that the price comparisons are fair and competitive.
Thank you.
It's gotta be unusual for an engineer to fess up to a mistake.
Yeah.
Normally, they don't do that. Sorry to offend you.
We're all
Plus,
human.
this isn't your contract, Andy, so
Yes,
it's pretty
that's all
safe.
right. Yep. Well, thank you, Todd, for sharing. Any questions? If not, do we have a motion to approve change order number 2?
Motion.
Second.
Thank you. And a roll call, please.
Keels.
Aye.
Brewster.
Aye.
Hamel.
Aye.
Kent.
Aye.
Thank you. And last is comments. I do have a few, but I'll go around first. Lyle, anything? Kurt, anything? Greg?
Nope.
Todd? Ange? Council to my left. I have a few then. Well, 2. First of all, fireworks, just a reminder, July 5 is the last day until 10 PM. After that, stop. Please. Thank you. Second is, I did receive a proposal from Hinson Consulting regarding their scope of services, their timeline, their fee structure, et cetera. I received that yesterday from Brent Hinson. Brent was also recommended from the Iowa League of Cities. He works alongside Pat Callahan that I told you about the last time we were together. They just finished up a city manager administrator search in Carlisle, Iowa, where Carlisle took action yesterday to approve. They've been very busy. Pat has a full schedule, but he will continue to work with Brent and then another gentleman on consulting. What I would like for us as the council to do is read through their scope of services. We can reach out with questions to them to have a better understanding. We can follow up on some of the cities that they've given us as far as who they have worked with. And then I'd like to bring this back to our July 18th meeting just to give it due diligence and timing. I don't think that we need to rush through bringing someone on. I know we need to replace, or not replace, but find a city manager soon, but I am very confident in the staff that we have keeping us going with our day-to-day business. So with that said, if any questions come up, feel free to reach out to them directly or through myself. And then we will bring this back on the July 18th council meeting for approval. And then obviously, their timeline will change just a little bit. They're ready to come up next week and start helping us. I will be out of town for part of next week as well as some of our staff, so that's another reason why I'd like to slow that down just a little bit. Other than that, I think that's it. I do believe. So do we have a motion to adjourn?
Before,
Yes.
do we have any kind of connections to any of those cities listed in terms of that they work with? Do we have an in with any of them?
I'm just gonna call.
I've emailed some of the city clerks already.
Mm-hmm.
Do.
Yep.
I guess it would just be I would be interested to hear what they thought of the process, whether it was worth it or not.
Absolutely.
I read through the list and I didn't have anything that jumped out at me, but I'm not in the business.
The
Right.
only thing and I don't think it's anything against the firm itself. I think there's at least 3 or 4 cities on there that the city manager has only stayed 3 or 4 years. But that might just be government.
Yeah, there's no guarantee.
you never know.
Right.
You can't control longevity.
Right.
Right. And like I've asked Kurt too, if that's something he wants to reach out to these cities and talk to someone who's in the same line of business that Kurt does with economic development, see, where they're at. So, I'm going to make some phone calls as myself, just to get a better understanding. In speaking with them, wonderful gentlemen, very understanding, and I really appreciate that they were both recommended by the Iowa League of Cities. I think if they weren't doing well in the business that they do, they would not be a recommendation, from the Iowa League of Cities. So, again, but please take your time, read through that. If you have questions, reach out to those cities. That's why they provided them to us. So we can make sure that we're going the direction we wish to take. So. All right, anything else? All right, do we have a
Safe
motion?
fourth.
Oh, yes, please practice safety.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you,
Support.
thank you. And a roll call, please.
Hint.
Aye.
Brewster.
Aye.
Hamel.
Aye.
Gills.
Aye.
Thank you, we are adjourned. We're gonna want spelling.